You don't actually miss the person. You miss the version of yourself that existed when they were around. That sounds strange right now. By the end of this video, it won't. Think about anyone who used to be in your life every day. Someone who moved away, a relationship that ended, a friend you drifted from, or someone who died. While they were there, you barely noticed them. They were background. They were air. Then they disappear. And suddenly you remember the sound of their voice, the way they laughed at bad jokes, the smell of their kitchen. Tiny, meaningless details you never paid attention to while they were happening. Now they take up space in your head you didn't know you had. The same thing happens with places. An old apartment, a childhood street, a school hallway. While you lived there, it was just the setting of your life. Sometimes boring, sometimes annoying. Years later, it feels almost sacred in memory. And here's the strange part. You're not choosing to romanticize it. You're not trying to feel nostalgic. It just happens. Automatically. Without permission. Here's what's actually going on underneath. Your brain isn't a camera recording reality as it happens. It's a prediction machine. It's constantly building a model of what's about to happen next. And the moment something becomes stable and predictable, a person, a place, a routine, your brain quietly stops spending attention on it, because attention is expensive. Why monitor something closely when you already know what it's going to do? This is called sensory adaptation, and you experience it constantly. You don't feel your clothes against your skin a few minutes after putting them on. Not because the fabric disappeared, because your brain decided, not new, not a threat, not worth tracking, and turned the sensor off. The same mechanism applies to people. As long as someone is present every day, your brain files them under background, part of the baseline of your life. Attention gets redirected toward things that are changing, uncertain, or demanding a decision. Anything stable enough to predict gets pushed out of conscious awareness, not because it's unimportant, but because it's so reliably important that tracking it consciously would be a waste of resources. And this creates a strange paradox. How much something matters and how much conscious attention you give it are two completely different things. They almost never line up in the present moment. When that person disappears, the background collapses all at once. Your brain had been running thousands of tiny predictions every day. They'll text later. I'll see them this weekend. They'll be home when I get there. Those predictions don't just switch off. They keep firing for a while, hitting nothing but empty space. That gap, that mismatch between an old prediction and a new reality, that's what you call missing someone. It's not the loss itself. It's the echo of a habit that hasn't caught up yet. But here's where it gets genuinely strange. If you knew, in advance, that someone or something was about to disappear, you'd notice it right now, in real time. Attention would switch on automatically, because the brain treats anything rare or time-limited as important, and anything constant as background noise. Which means the value something holds in your mind isn't really based on how good it is. It's based on how limited it appears to be. That's why the last day of a vacation feels sharper than the first. Why a conversation with someone who's about to move away suddenly feels deeper than it did the week before. The person hasn't changed. Your brain just reclassified them, from background to expiring resource, and attention followed instantly. And this exposes something uncomfortable about how awareness actually works. It doesn't switch on just because you try harder to be present or appreciate the moment. It switches on through a sense of finiteness. Without the feeling that something is ending, your brain has no functional reason to spend energy noticing it. That's not laziness. That's not ingratitude. That's the basic economics of attention built into being human, which creates a brutal loop. To notice value, you usually need the threat of losing it. But without that threat, the value stays invisible, even if it's enormous. Here's the part that goes even further. This doesn't just apply to people and places, it applies to you. The version of yourself from a year ago, 5 years ago, your childhood, that version is gone too. Not physically, but the way you used to see things, the sensitivity you had, the energy, the naivety. It left the same way a person leaves a room, quietly, without an announcement. And you'll notice it the exact same way you notice everything else. afterward, in hindsight, never in the moment it was actually happening. This is also why people often say they didn't realize they were happy until later, looking back at a period of their life from a distance, recognizing something they couldn't see while they were inside it. The brain wasn't built to flag, "This is good," while it's still ongoing and stable. It was built to flag change. And happiness, when it's real and sustained, doesn't feel like change. It feels like nothing at all. It feels like silence. Maybe the problem isn't that we're bad at appreciating the present. Maybe the present is, by design, almost invisible, precisely because it's still happening. We don't miss things because they were perfect. We miss them because they were stable enough that we never had a reason to look at them closely. So maybe the only real move available to us is this: every once in a while, stop and ask, what right now feels like background noise that I'll eventually miss? Because if the answer comes to mind, even for a second, that thing isn't gone yet. It's still here, right now, while you're still inside it.